expert in the house. We'll talk about that. Melissa is off today, but she has a history moment in our second hour about the San Elizario Salt War, which, of course, is our topic today. And so we want to welcome our guest this morning, our military historian, as I call him, John Hamilton. How are you?
Good morning, sir.
Welcome
morning.
Here.
Good to be here.
Welcome here.
Thank you.
Good to see you on a cold morning. You got up and got out, and so did I.
Yes, sir.
Everybody else stay in bed and get some hot chocolate or hot something.
Yes.
However you do that. So the story of the Salt War in San Elizario, Texas, is a bit complicated. It has a lot of facets to it. We'll take them on and take a look at them. So we had a war over salt. What was that all about?
Oh, this is great stuff. There are, first of all, this is 1877. This is the winter. This is the beginning of the Gilded Age in the United States. Everybody wanted to make money. So the railroads were moving. There were railroads coming to El Paso. We knew that everyone knew that this was happening. This drew a lot of people to El Paso.
Let's take a look at the salt flats themselves. If we got that,
yes, let's
available.
look at that. So at the foot of the eastern slopes of the slope of the Guadalupe Mountains are salt flats. They stretch for about 100 miles. They're fed by runoff from the mountains to the east. They're dried by the sun and the fresh, dry air out there. Most of the flats are very thin. They're just a few inches, but some places have very thick deposits of salt that's really quite pure. These beds were supposedly at the time held in common based on Spanish land grants that dated back many years before.
In common for everyone who lived.
Everyone who lived in the area, yes. So you had these people that would go out and dig up the salt, called appropriately salineros. They would travel from the settlements along the Rio Grande. They would come in by using two-wheeled carretas. These were carts that were drawn by oxen. Oxen being very, very steady animals. They would move slowly, but they could pull a lot of weight.
So we got a picture of a cart up there. Looks like 4 oxen.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that 4 pulling that thing?
I think so. This was a very valuable commodity, not just because it flavored and preserved food, but you could also use it to smelt and refine silver. So it could be sold, particularly during times when there were drought along the Rio Grande, and folks needed money for food because they weren't able to raise any food. So for this reason, the salt trade was very important to farmers in Isleta and San Elizario, and there was the problem. The salt could provide riches to whomever owned the land, and despite the continuing threat from the Indians, primarily the Mescalero Apaches, the salt was there, supposedly, for the taking.
Now, this had become common back for centuries.
Oh, my, yes. Dating back to when the Spaniards had the land and owned it, and dating back to the 1700s, when the Spanish actually fought a war against the Mescaleros and prevailed and maintained access to the salt for the people who lived along the Rio Grande. And San Elizario was one of those communities. It was a very old community dating back well beyond the Americans arriving in El Paso, well beyond when Mexico became independent from Spain.
And San Elizario, along with Isleta, and we're looking at the Mission Church there in San Elizario.
Yes.
And San Elizario, along with Isleta and Socorro, were all in Mexico because the river was north of them.
Oh, that's a very good point.
And today the river is south of them.
Yes. Prior to the 1830s, these communities were in Mexico because the river was to the north. But there was, of course, there were floods. The river changed course, and it had 2 courses, so that you had the river passing south and north of these communities. And the area was referred to as La Isla, the island.
It was an island.
And ultimately, the course to the south dried up, or the course to the north dried up.
No,
so
the South
you
State.
had now the river passing to the south. So after the Mexican-American War, you had the Treaty of Guadalupe Hilargo, which ceded everything north of the Rio Grande to the United States.
And that was agreed to by Mexico and Texas, or who?
Oh, yes, agreed to by Mexico.
And the United States.
Yes, and that was one of the reasons the Mexican-American War was fought, because the United States and Texas, for that matter, said, "Oh, Rio Grande is our border with Mexico," and the Mexicans said, "Not so fast. The Nueces River is the border," and that brought about the war.
Where is that? How far away is that?
Oh, it's a long way away. If you look at a map of Texas, the Nueces River is quite a distance to the east of the Rio Grande, and it's a huge amount of terrain, it's a huge amount of land. So, manifest destiny was everything. We fought the war in 1846 to 1848, and at the end of it, we actually did pay some reparations to the Mexicans for the war. I think to the tune of $15 million, which in that period of time, that's a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
And
some people say that
somewhat grudgingly agreed to ceding all this land to us.
So some people say the United States bought the land for that amount.
Yes, you could say that.
Yeah,
you could say that.
The politics of this are just insane when you think about it. But also there was a number of things that went on. All right, you have a direction you want to go with this. Where are you headed next?
Well, let's talk a little bit about the history. Things that were going around at the time. This is before. This is as the railroads were being built. You had the Panic of 1873, which caused railroads, banks, businesses to fail. The Army, the United States Army, was deployed in the East to put down railroad worker strikes. In 1876, the year before, you had the Little Bighorn Massacre. So there were the Indian Wars were now taking the attention of the United States Army, which was how big in 1877? 24,000. Think about that.
Total army.
Total army strength was 24,000 soldiers.
Fort Bliss currently has a lot more than that.
Oh, Fort Bliss has got around 37,000 soldiers.
That's
alone.
Just one fort.
That's one post.
And the time frame was 1848, the Mexican-American War Treaty. And now we're moving up to what date?
So now we're moving up to 1876, 1877. Civil War is over. The Transcontinental Railroad is built. So now there are other railroads that are being built to include railroads across the southern part of the United States. So we knew that these railroads are coming.
And that basically needed to go through El Paso.
El Paso was seen as a nexus, and there was some question as to where that railroad was going to go. Was it going to go through San Elizario, Isleta, Socorro, El Paso? Where was it going to go?
Well, one question there would be, if they took it to that level in that area, it would be prone to flooding.
Yes, that was still a problem.
The railroads aren't stupid. They don't put stuff like that in floodplain.
That's true. And remember that the Army, and I'm a military historian, the Army was in El Paso at the time. They had a couple of companies of troops at a place called Camp Concordia, which if you want to go find it today, you won't find it.
It's under the freeway? No.
Under the freeway. It's under the Spaghetti Bowl is where it is.
Yeah.
That's where it was. And there's no remnant. There's no ruin there. There's nothing. It was a really tough place. So in 1877, the Army is focusing on the Indian Wars primarily in the Northern Plains and also in New Mexico. So we did a BRAC, base realignment and closure. We closed Fort Bliss at Camp Concordia, and the troops marched away. They marched over to Fort Davis. Some of them went up to into New Mexico. And in those days, you just marched. You took all the U.S. property and marched away.
Just as a thought on Camp Concordia, when they had that Army post there, the Butterfield Trail went through there apparently.
Yes.
But they didn't put it down. The Butterfield Trail did not travel down into I say down because it's a little higher up on the other end of Concordia.
Yes.
And we found remnants of a corral up there on the other end, the north end of Concordia.
Yes.
So we think pretty sure that that's where that some of the horses and stuff were kept for the stagecoach.
Sure.
So
Sure.
that's just an aside there. And we almost have to take a break. You got one more quick point?
Sure. Now that brings us to 1877, where you have a lot of Anglos coming to the community of El Paso. And they are looking to make money. They're looking to find their fortunes here. So that sets the stage.
So it's going to be an interesting story to figure out who did what to whom. And I think there's a lot of greed involved.
You can say that.
There's a fair amount of racism on all sides.
Indeed.
And
Yes.
so it's
Yes.
not a simple matter to figure out. It's also not one of the more pleasant things that's ever happened in El Paso, but then history is not necessarily pleasant.
It's our history.
And that's just it. And on the El Paso History Radio Show, we sometimes take on subjects that are tough. We had one last week that was kind of tough. Some of the things that went on back in the eras have always been kind of contentious and violent.
Yes.
This one's no different.
Right. There's violence here.
Are we ready for a break there, Mr. Andrew? Andrew J. Polk there is in the control room. Appreciate his help on that. How are we doing on streaming? Is that working out or not?
Oh, yeah, we're up on streaming. Got a lot of people tuning in and chiming in right now. Of course, I have to mention Barbara Given Bainey representing Remember in El Paso when right now, as well as far away as Sevastopol, California, Michael David Fells, and also in Tucson location with Lisa and Egan neighbors. So a lot of people tuning in and chiming in this morning.
And I don't see pictures on my screen here. Is that because I don't just the screen or what?
Oh, it's on there.
I can't see it.
It must be the way it's angled.
When you get a chance, take a look at that.
Sure.
All right, we shall take a break. Come back in a moment with John Hamilton, military historian, and we're taking a look at San Elizario from a military perspective. But he's also going to pick up on a lot of the social things that occurred. And again, it's a tough period in El Paso history. So we shall return in a moment on the El Paso History Radio Show.
Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina serves the old Griggs Mexican food recipes in a new location at 6761 Doniphan Drive. Enjoy great New Mexican food with cold beer and the Juan and only margarita from the cantina. The managers and cooks from the original Griggs restaurant serve tacos, combination plates, and sopapillas. Get the best Mexican food in the valley at Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina, 6761 Doniphan, near Loop 375. Call 877-2152.
Many retired El Paso area homeowners don't know where to begin when it comes to downsizing and selling their home. Patrick Tuttle and his Legacy Home Team follow a proven process to help retired homeowners sell faster and for more money. Call Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850 today and get your home sold faster and for more money. That's Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850. Call him today.
Win $1,000.
No way.
Way.
No way. No way.
Oh, baby. Yes way.
No way.
It's a grand in your hand. Listen every hour from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. weekdays for your chance to win.
A grand in your hand is brought to you by Approved Autos. Drive out in your new ride in less than an hour. Choose from every make and model from their super clean, hand-picked inventory and get payments as low as $159 a month. Worried about your credit? Don't sweat it. If you got your license and you got a job, they smell a deal. The deals are sweeter at Approved Autos, 8498 Alameda.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon. Cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code FUEL for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next fill up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code FUEL for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FUEL.
Join Brian Birds of the Brian Birds Home Selling Team every Sunday morning at 7:30 a.m. for real estate tips with Brian, the best in El Paso when it comes to selling. Brian is an expert in real estate. Listen every Sunday from 7:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. on KTSM AM 690 for tips on buying or selling your home, info on what's going on in the market today, and much, much more. Real estate tips with Brian every Sunday morning at 7:30 on KTSM AM 690.
An unmitigated disaster at our southern border, and you will pay the full price. This is a full-blown crisis. It is a humanitarian crisis. It is a national security crisis. It is a health and safety for you and your family crisis.
Joe Biden's weak border policies have made America and Texas less safe. Take it from Brandon Judd, president of the National Border Patrol Council.
Joe Biden refuses to secure our southern border. He's crippled law enforcement and emboldened dangerous drug cartels, criminals, and human traffickers. That's why the National Border Patrol Council is proud to endorse Governor Greg Abbott for re-election. He deployed new resources to assist law enforcement, and he's cracked down on criminal activity. No other governor has done more to secure our border than Greg Abbott.
Vote on March 1st. Governor Greg Abbott, securing the future of Texas.
Political ad paid for by Texans for Greg Abbott.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
And now let's turn back the pages of time and return to the El Paso History Show. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-585-7777. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, 6761 Donovan Drive. By M1EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey, 1421 Lee Trevino with El Paso souvenirs and gift shopping. By Keystone Heritage Park on Donovan Drive, 915-584-0563. Here again, El Paso History with Melissa Sargent and Jackson Polk.
We're good.
We're good. Hey, I hear your mic in there. Yeah, yes, indeed I do. We are the El Paso History Radio Show on Facebook. Go there for our weekly promo announcements on topics of the program each week. We're starting to put them there now. And also we have a TV channel to see about free videos about El Paso history on YouTube. And you can go to youtube.com/El Paso History TV. I put about a dozen of my documentary videos over there. And if you look at those, you can get an overview. It's TV that was created at least a decade ago, most of them. So forgive the production value. Some of them have gotten better these days. What you see on TV now is amazing. And when I did the best I could with what I had at the time. But it's youtube.com/El Paso History TV. There's also a series of 20 videos that we put on from ABC News. We had an interesting time doing little pieces all over El Paso. And they're on there now. And again, that's youtube.com, El Paso History TV. And those are, we put them on 2018 to 2020. And also, just another thought to tell you, a reminder to support our advertisers. Pepe's Restaurant in Canutillo, open for in-house dining, 6761 Donovan. Call Pepe's at 877-2152, the home of the Juan. Are you ready for this? The Juan and only margarita. Yeah, think about that too. Yeah, John Hamilton there. All right, John, talk to us a little bit more about the Salt War. Salt War was an unusual event. It's one of many in El Paso. And I guess if we had to start making movies about El Paso, which I think somebody should.
Oh, yeah.
I always thought I could do it, but that's a bigger bite than I can take. But the Salt Wars would be a movie.
I think
it'd be a tough movie because you're not going to find anything.
Miniseries.
Oh, God, so pleasant. Well, you could. It's just a matter of who wants to spend the money for the interest.
Yeah.
I mean, we need a billionaire to help us with that, and they're looking elsewhere these days.
Yeah.
So it goes. So the Salt War, let's take another look at where you're headed with that, because the politics started back in the 60s.
Well, yeah, you could say that after the Civil War. I mean, it's interesting to look at the towns in 1870 in the census. El Paso, the population here was 764. The San Elizario population was 1,120. So San Eli was bigger than El Paso, or Franklin, as it was sort of still being called then.
Now, was that just Franklin or the group of little towns, McGoffinsville? You added all those up?
No, you don't add those up. It's just
Franklin.
Just Franklin, yeah.
Because El Paso turned out to be a group of little settlements that combined,
sort of closed in eventually, yeah. And after the Civil War, there were a lot of people that had come through here in the Civil War who pretty much settled here. One of them was a Union Army sergeant with a California column who was named Albert J. Fountain. Now, Albert Fountain, A.J. Fountain, ultimately Judge Fountain, has a fairly long history here. He was mustered out in 1864. He stayed on as a surveyor. He tried to survey the salt beds in 1868 for a Texas land baron, and he failed. But he joined other California column vets, a guy named Albert French, James Zabriskie, resident of San Elizario named Juan Lujan, W.W. Mills, William Wallace Mills, we know him as a pre-war Unionist, a college chum of his, and then the saloon owner by the name of Ben Dowell. They formed something called the Salt Ring, and what they were doing is they were gathering up ex-Confederate property, locating it for themselves, and selling it. Now, the ring soon split up over differences. Most of them ended up really bitter enemies. The attempts to bring the salt beds under El Paso control was thwarted by two people. One of them was named Luis Cardis. Another one was Father Antonio Borajo.
And that padre was a San Elizario church guy.
He was the Catholic priest there. He was educated in Spain. He was a very conservative priest, but he had weaknesses. The weaknesses were horses and money. He kept a stable of prime horses, which he really loved. He had a couple of carriages, and of course, he loved to have money to spend. He wanted to control, as an aside, he wanted to control all child education, and to the point where he had real differences with the state. And he coveted profits from salt.
And this was a padre.
You could see this. Yes, yes.
Isn't that a little outside the bounds of a padre?
Well, you would say so. These days, it might draw some scrutiny, or maybe not. You don't know, but ultimately, he was pretty much removed and moved back in across the river into Mexico. But he still had a hand at what was going on.
Had the river had moved already, or not yet?
It had moved.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
yes. And then you had Don Luis Cardis. He was Italian. Supposedly, he had fought with the forces for Italian unification. Came to the United States in 1854, and as sort of a carpetbagger, he came here in 1864. And what he did was buy and sell ex-Confederate properties.
You got a picture of him going now?
Yep, we got his
There's a
picture up on
of
screen right now.
Cardis, yes.
Okay.
And also, he entered politics. He was a politician. He was made it to the legislature in Texas, supposedly through legerdemain with the voting.
Oh my! No, they didn't cheat on voting.
Oh, certainly not. Who would think so? I mean, it was all in how you controlled the vote, and there weren't that many people to vote, so you just had to control them. Among other things, he supposedly sold liquor, supposedly out of a house that used to be owned by a guy named Simeon Hart.
Oh my!
So he had owned that property, and he also ran a stagecoach line. And he and Father Borajo tried to gain the salt beds for themselves. His intent was to charge only small amounts to remove salt, but enough to make themselves very comfortable.
So the padre was going to start selling the salt also.
Oh, yes.
And then the tradition had been it was free for anybody.
Yes.
What a bunch of crazy people.
Yes, this is how things were going. And they clashed with Fountain and Mills, and ultimately they split. Borajo, as I said, lost his position in San Elizario, but was installed across the river, and he continued to agitate. Cardis was a Democrat. And remember, the issues between the Democrats and the Republicans at the time had to do with Reconstruction. Okay. So,
and the Democrats mainly came from the South?
Yes, a lot of them did. And they worked pretty much against Fountain, who was a radical Republican. And Cardis also had the misfortune to have a very bad temper, not afraid to use physical violence to get what he wanted, to get even with people. And there were many disputes that were settled at the time with fists, guns, canes, and what have you.
Can we break right there for a moment here?
So why don't we take a break?
We shall do so, because that is required in our programming here. John Hamilton's the guy on the radio. Jackson here. Melissa's off today. And we shall be back in just a moment. M1 EP Management Corporation is proud to sponsor the El Paso History Show. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, invest in real estate. M1 EP manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. See the website, m1ep.com. M1ep.com. To learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation of investing in real estate, call Certified Property Manager Mike Baca, 915-592-4549. 915-592-4549.
El Paso History TV is now available for free on YouTube.com. Take a look at recent ABC 7 news reports by Bernie Sargent on El Paso History TV about Waco tanks, the Franklin Mountains, Concordia Cemetery, and more. The YouTube channel also has more than 100 videos about El Paso history with lectures, documentaries, and various history clips. Go to youtube.com/El Paso History TV and find out how Texas history begins in El Paso.
Happy New Year, El Paso. This is Ivan Ochoa, General Manager from Sunland Park, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Thank you, El Paso and surrounding areas, for helping us have a record-breaking year. As a gesture of gratitude, we're offering 0 down, 0 APR for 72 months, no payments for 90 days, and exceptional trade-in offers for any trade.
Keep your cash and save thousands with record-breaking price cuts during the Start Something New sales event going on now at Sunland Park Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. 2022 Ram trucks, huge selection, huge savings. Save thousands in interest with 0 APR for 72 months on 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokees, Dodge Charger, and Durango SUVs. Looking to save thousands on your next car, truck, or SUV? The all-new Sunland Park Dodge Certified Pre-Owned Supercenter has a great selection with more arriving daily. All military personnel and all first responders receive an additional discount. Thank you for your service. Sunland Park Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, or buying a car is still fun at I-10 at Sunland Park Drive or online at sunlandparkdodge.com. Estamos en tu esquina, El Paso strong. Includes factory rebate and dealer discount plus TTNL. 0 APR is $13.89 per thousand finance. All select vehicles with approved credit. Offers not combined.
Conquer your New Year's resolution to be more productive with the Before Breakfast podcast. In each bite-sized daily episode, time management and productivity expert Laura Vanderkam teaches you how to make the most of your time, both at work and at home. These are the practical suggestions you need to get more done with your day.
Just as lifting weights keeps our bodies strong as we age, learning new skills is the mental equivalent of pumping iron.
Listen to Before Breakfast on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Have you thought about getting dental implants? Has someone told you that implants cost $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a tooth? Here's something much better to think about. Affordable dental implants from 1995implants.com. The El Paso Dental Office, where beautiful, top-quality, long-lasting dental implants are as low as $1,995 per tooth. That price includes the implant, abutment, and crown, which many other places charge extra for. At 1995implants.com, we also offer a free consultation, free standard x-rays, and convenient financing. 1995implants.com. You're going to love your new smile, and your friends and family will be telling you how great you look. Best of all, your dental implants are very affordable if you come to 1995implants.com. For more information, see our website, 1995implants.com. That's 1995implants.com. Se habla español.
Is your job going nowhere? It's a new year. Time for a new career in IT. My Computer Career has slashed tuition. So what are you waiting for? Campuses are open. Attend in person or live online. Hands-on learning and lifetime career services help you succeed. And you could start your career in months, not years, even with no experience. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
And now, an important message from Exergen. A critical new FDA study proves that the widely used non-contact thermometers are not accurate and have high probabilities for false negative readings. On top of that, they have inaccurate information on their labels regarding accuracy. New COVID strains are on the rise, and non-contact manufacturers are being irresponsible at a time when accuracy matters most. Accurate temperature measurements are essential. Don't wait. Switch to Exergen because they are accurate and backed by over 100 clinical studies. Be sure, be accurate with Exergen. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Think you can handle another iHeartRadio True Crime Week? With thousands of true crime podcasts to choose from, finding your next case to binge can be a little intimidating. Lucky for you, our investigators are on the scene with an entire lineup of podcasts to get you started. From stone cold killers to cold cases waiting to be cracked, including the new iHeart podcast, The MLK Tapes.
He never confessed.
Open the free iHeart app and search True Crime to start your next podcast obsession. iHeartRadio. Discover music, radio, and podcasts you'll love.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
And now let's turn back the pages of time and return to the El Paso History Show. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-585-7777. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, 6761 Donovan Drive. By M1EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey, 1421 Lee Trevino with El Paso souvenirs and gift shopping. By Keystone Heritage Park on Donovan Drive, 915-584-0563. Here again, El Paso History with Melissa Sargent and Jackson Polk.
As mentioned already, Melissa's off today. Jackson here with John Hamilton talking about the Salt War of San Elizario. It's rather extensive and complicated. We'll get to more of it. But a couple of announcements real quick. Check out www.celebrationofourmountains.org. And tomorrow, Sunday, join archaeologist Garrett Lederman for a hike into the past at Dripping Springs Natural Area. 5,000 years, La Cueva, the cave, has been home to many people, including prehistoric, archaic, and Hornado Mogollon people, Manso, Mescaleros, Apaches, anybody else that came by, cattle rustlers. And so anyway, it had a hermit in there for a while. And so if you get on that hike, you can go see what that's all about. But you really got to go to their website for more information, celebrationofourmountains.org. Give them a look there and see what you think. Also, just a quick announcement. Our friends at Monterey Asset Management have changed their name to M1EP Management Corp. And their principal certified property manager is Mike Baca. Their website is m1ep.com, m1ep.com. And also call Patrick Tuttle, 915-588-1850. Coldwell Banker, Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate. Great guy. He has rentals and he sells stuff, and he can rent you something or sell you something. But I don't think he's going to sell you the salt.
Probably not.
John,
Probably not.
He can't get the salt because it's not available. You say it's privately owned right now. And we also have a marker here. This marker, I think, was out at the salt flats, and you can see that they have commemorated that in the state of Texas. And, it became a big deal in Texas. And also there's another wide shot I think you have, Andrew.
It's quite a scenic area. It truly is. If you're driving out to Carlsbad from here, you can stop to see. You got to remember this is all private land now. So you need to be careful about the trespassing issue. But
let's take a look at that wider picture.
Worth seeing. It's because of how huge this place is.
So specifically, this is the picture I took myself last summer when we had the flooding, for lack of a better term, happening out there. I called it. We had the beach show up when we usually have the beach with only the sand that we have around here.
Right. But this time you got the salt water.
The ocean showed up,
Yeah,
and it
the
was,
lake.
technically salt water.
Yeah.
A lot of water last summer.
It is.
So the salt flats and the salt wars were over those flats, about the flats, because apparently the salt is very pure here. It's
Yes.
capillary action. It comes
Yes.
up, and the top layer is crystalline, whatever.
Yes.
Pure salt.
Yes. Yes.
And-
very pure.
And again, the salt was used for many people, and there's some chunks of salt there. Those are rock salt, I guess.
Yes. Halite.
Salt.
Halite is what it's
Halite.
called. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so what else you got in the way of pictures there, Andy? You got to show us something else? But then we're also, obviously the radio show, but we're putting them on Facebook, and that's where the pictures can be found.
Right.
Facebook.com/El Paso History TV. I'm sorry, El Paso Radio Show. Paso History Radio. Well, I got two of my things mixed up. The other one is YouTube. Anyway, El Paso History Radio Show. And I'm just kind of looking at the camera because it's next to the monitor these days. It's we're having gremlins and electrons, and so that's what happens. But the way it goes here, the history out there is a bit unusual in that, like, nobody, there's not a salt flats outside of Chicago
No.
to argue
No,
over,
there isn't.
or Philadelphia.
Right.
Another thing unique about the El Paso area, this is just one of them, and if the fact that there was a salt flat out there. And that salt was used in mining operations in Mexico.
Yes.
Do you understand that process of amalgamation?
I'm
I
not
think,
clear on the actual process to refine and smelt silver using salt, but it was
a
critical.
chemical. It was a chemical
It's
process.
critical.
And
we had silver mines. Mexicans had silver mines, and they wanted to buy salt, and were willing to pay a premium for it.
And so they got the salt and turned it into brine, apparently, and then soaked the ore. They ground up the ore into
Right.
dust and soaked the ore, and somehow the combination
So you
of
get silver iodide.
yeah, somehow it turned into they could break the silver out of there without smelting it.
Right.
And so they had huge pools of that stuff. I've seen pictures of that.
Yeah.
And that whole thing was how they did this. So that's why the Mexicans wanted salt down in Mexico, but everybody else up and down the Camino Real used the salt to preserve their food.
Yeah.
And so it was and the thing is, the road from the salt flats into Mexico basically went through San Elizario.
Yes.
Which is why we call this the San Elizario Salt War.
Yes.
Okay, take us wherever we left off. I'm not sure.
Well, we had Mr. Cardis, we had the fountains, and into this mix comes a Virginia-born, Texas-raised former Confederate soldier by the name of Charles Howard. Now, there's a picture of him. He was rather portly. He obviously liked his food, and but he was a husky, beefy guy. He'd fought in the Civil War as on the Texas side. He moved to El Paso in 1872. He was appointed district attorney here in 1873. Initially, he was allied with Cardis.
In El Paso, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, moved here in 1873. Moved here 1872. He managed to get Fountain's supporters removed from government and Fountain suppressed. And by 1875, almost all political positions in and around El Paso were held by Democrats. Howard undercut everybody. He filed for exclusive rights to the salt flats in his father-in-law's name in 1877.
Where did he file that?
With the state. And that effectively cut Father Barajo and Cardis out of the picture, which brought about outright violence. Howard came to hate Cardis very quickly, physically assaulted him several times, once in San Antonio, once in Austin. And in June 1877, he encountered Cardis at Old Fort Quitman, where Cardis was trying to set up his one of his stagecoach stations, and beat him up again.
And Quitman, by the way, now is just basically dust.
Quitman has been abandoned.
But there's nothing to look at.
And there's nothing there.
I think there's some graves
today.
nearby,
yes,
if you can find those.
There's a cemetery nearby.
You're near the fort, yeah.
So Howard actually goes out to the salt flats and posts the place. He puts up signs and say, I own this. If you want to take salt from it, you got to get permission from me, and you got to pay me.
And there wasn't a highway down the middle like you can drive today.
No, there was not. There was a cart road that went up there that took you through Indian country and put you at risk with the mescaleros, who were quite happy to kill you and take your goods and your salt and your livestock. And at this time, the Paseños in San Elizario weren't idle. They formed their own alliance and effectively started to take charge down there, which scared everyone, including the county sheriff, Charles Kerber. So when Howard learned that locals were planning to go out there and take salt without payment, that pretty much did it. He got Sheriff Kerber to swear out warrants for arrest of the locals, went down to San Elizario to serve these warrants, and they captured him.
Oh.
And said they were going to kill him. So there were several interventions there. Fountain intervened to try to save his life. Howard agreed not to prosecute those who made him a prisoner and threatened his life, to give up claims to the salt, and to leave the area forever. This is June 1877, and he moves to Mesilla, and things quiet down.
And they go back to taking their salt when they want it.
Yes. So there were some real issues here. Things kind of stewed around. Howard returns in October. He wasn't satisfied to let the court settle the salt beds matter. October the 10th, Cardis is dictating letters in the S. Schutz & Son store in El Paso. He spoke excellent Spanish, but he couldn't write Spanish very well. And he was working with a bookkeeper there named Adolf Krakauer.
Oh.
That name comes up in El Paso history.
Oh, yeah.
In comes Howard carrying a shotgun with blood in his eye. And Krakauer tried to warn Curtis by saying, "Oh, Judge Howard, how you doing today?" And Curtis tried to jump behind a desk. Howard shoots him twice with a shotgun, kills him.
Ooh.
And when they looked at Curtis, he had a 2-gun rig, and one pistol was missing. One was out of the holster and half cocked. So they did not charge Howard with his death.
Oh, because he was the guy was going to shoot him.
Self-defense.
Oh my goodness.
So at this point, things were getting kind of scary, both here and in San Elizario. And the Frontier Battalion for the Texas Rangers, Major John B. Jones, formed a Texas Ranger company. Now, he could have chosen people in San Eli who had been Texas Rangers before and fought Indians. And these were Hispanic guys, notably Chico Varela and Sisto Salcido, who had been Texas Rangers and had led expeditions against the Mescaleros. But he didn't. He chose a local handyman, carpenter, and sometime gadabout named John B. Tays. This is not the Episcopal clergyman at the time. This was his brother. And from among the population, they found 20 Rangers. Now, was there training for these Rangers? No.
I understand that Ranger Company was not your normal Ranger.
There was no academy. There was no training. There was no real vetting. And let's consider that that El Paso was attracting some real ne'er-do-wells with the expectation that the railroads would get here. So these weren't the best. These weren't the best guys in that were available.
Oh my goodness!
So now you've got this going on, and an interesting side note is the state tried to organize a state guard presence here in El Paso, and that really didn't work out. But some of the people that were supposed to be in that were the storekeeper in San Elizario, Charles Ellis, and Juan Lujan, who'd been a ranger, who'd been involved in fights against the Indians. And this really didn't work out very well.
Who's that guy?
Okay, that is Curtis.
Ah, there he is. Okay.
Yes.
And so he looked kind of
Curtis
a stately guy.
in better times.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
He just didn't end well in your story.
No,
there.
he did not end well for him.
Goodness.
And in fact, it doesn't end well at all for some of the guys that are involved in this.
I don't think anybody made out well on this thing, did they?
Not well. These disturbances that were going on gained the attention of the state and the federal governments.
Okay, right there. Let's take a break.
You
here.
want to
Pick
take
it
a
up.
break?
Yep.
And we can pick it up there.
Yes, indeed, sir. We got to do that. It's John Hamilton talking about the Salt War of San Elizario. Jackson here. Melissa's off, and it's an interesting day here because this is a weird story, all in all, about some of the strange. El Paso has got some odd history, and I say odd in the sense of, well, maybe not for the time. It was just as violent as it could be. That's amazing. All right.
Yeah.
If you want to call us, we'll take some calls in the next hour, but we'll get you out right now on the El Paso History Radio Show. Taking a break. Go ahead.
Very good.
Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina serves the old Griggs Mexican food recipes in a new location at 6761 Donovan Drive. Enjoy great New Mexican food with cold beer and the one and only margarita from the cantina. The managers and cooks from the original Griggs restaurant serve tacos, combination plates, and sopapillas. Get the best Mexican food in the valley at Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina, 6761 Donovan, near Loop 375. Call 877-2152.
We've lost so many people to COVID. So many moms and dads, favorite uncles, older sisters, and best friends. But vaccines can help prevent severe illness and death from COVID. So now almost all COVID deaths are preventable. And so are the broken hearts they leave behind. We can do this. Find COVID vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Sunshine Health, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Sunshine Health, you get the coverage you want and the health care you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to dial pound 250 on your mobile device now and say the keyword healthcare. That's pound 250 and say the keyword healthcare. Sunshine Health is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready, and health insurance is your financial safety net. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, dial pound 250 right now and say the keyword healthcare. That's pound 250 and say the keyword healthcare.
Are you a safe driver? Are you looking to save money? With DriveWise from Allstate, the safer you drive, the more you can save. At Allstate, better protection costs a whole lot less. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
I am incredibly proud to be a physician here at St. Jude, to be in a place where I know my patients are going to get the top-notch care, not only care, but also research happening 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Every single person that contributes is a part of that St. Jude family that makes that happen. Because of everyone that is really committed to the mission of St. Jude, we're giving families hope.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Children who grow up in poverty are part of a destructive cycle. At Child Fund International, we find this unacceptable. In 25 countries, we are vigorously fighting poverty and improving the lives of children and their families. Learn more at childfund.org.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
And now let's turn back the pages of time and return to the El Paso History Show. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-585-7777. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, 6761 Donovan Drive. By M1EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey, 1421 Lee Trevino with El Paso souvenirs and gift shopping. By Keystone Heritage Park on Donovan Drive, 915-584-0563. Here again, El Paso History with Melissa Sargent and Jackson Polk.
Jackson here telling you about Rick Kern's music podcast, Talk and Rock Radio. Go to talkandrockradio.com. He does a lot of history about El Paso, musical history. And also, another sponsor to remind you about is Mission Del Rey Southwest. They're working on an alpaca room, and they knocked out some walls to get a bigger showroom. They have soft, plush alpaca blankets, capes, and etc. Cold weather items. Great discounts in the clearance area now on scratch and dent items. Go to missiondelrey.com. 12,000-foot showroom. Check it out there on Lee Trevino. And mention the El Paso History Radio Show for a discount, 915-440-2140. Great crowd out there. And John Hamilton's here. We got a couple of minutes in this segment. Where do you want to go with this? Because, I mean, this is a bizarre story.
Let's talk about the Army.
Salt War in San Elizario.
Yeah, let's talk about the Army. This gained the attention of the federal government. William T. Sherman commanded the Army at the time. Colonel John Pope commanded the Department of Missouri, which oversaw this part. In New Mexico, there were 779 troops, 9th Cavalry, 15th Infantry. That was it. That's all that was there. And they were engaged in pacifying the Indians and trying to get as many Indians as possible to move to San Carlos.
So they weren't available.
Onto the reservation. So they really weren't available. The Army did send a lieutenant by the name of Lewis Henry Rucker down here. He was the regimental quartermaster of the 9th Cavalry. He wasn't some brand new lieutenant. He'd been in the Civil War. He'd been at Gettysburg. So he comes in here, and he's mostly concerned with possible incursions from Mexico. But he is also told, make sure you don't enter Mexico. Just go down there and see what's going on. Camp Concordia, Fort Quitman are closed. There's no troops there.
And there was no Fort Bliss at the time.
And there was no Fort Bliss at the time.
So what do we have here?
Rucker's here. He's looking at the Mexican threat. Mexican government then was consolidating under a guy named Porfirio Diaz, who had taken over in 1876. And there were border threats from followers of the former Mexican president, who was named Lerdo de Tejada. But Rucker found little along the border, but some fear of incursions included that the threats were limited. But he did note that there was unrest around San Elizario, and on October 3rd, he wrote to Isleta with Joseph McGoffin as a translator. At that time, Judge Howard was in the hands of Paseños at San Eli. The locals warned Rucker to stay away, and Rucker did.
And that's about where we're going to have to
And
leave
that's
it.
where we'll leave it for now.
And so don't forget to pick it up there. We got a history moment coming about, and you have some comments, I think, on the history moment, because it's about how Billy the Kid was there, but you don't think he was there.
I don't think he was.
We'll see how that goes in there. Andrew, we'll get to your comments on Facebook after the break here. Coming up top of the hour, we'll see you after the news. Stick around. We got more Salt War, and we're just beginning. See you then.
Thank you for listening to the El Paso History Show. There's another hour to go, so please stay tuned. This hour is brought to you by Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, home of the one and only margarita. By Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-585-7777. By Keystone Heritage Park on Donovan Drive. By M1 EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey, 1421 Lee Trevino, with El Paso souvenirs and gift shopping. We'll be right back after the news, right here on News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
iHeartRadio Earth is here with little tips for a healthier planet. It sure feels good to step into a warm car after letting it heat up for a few minutes. However, this practice wastes gas, increases emissions, and pollutes the air. Limit idling your car to no more than 3 minutes to save money at the gas station and improve air quality. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living, or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/earth.
If you have ever thought about remodeling your bathroom but were worried it would take too long or cost too much, then stop worrying. Right now, Jacuzzi Bath Remodel has designed a collection of high-quality custom products and perfected the one-day remodeling experience so you can enjoy your new bathroom faster than ever before. It's a worry-free bath remodel from the most trusted brand name in the business, Jacuzzi. A jacuzzi bath system fits in your existing tub space. It's a no-mess installation with an amazing style selection, factory-certified installers, and a limited lifetime warranty. Call 800-716-9085. That's 800-716-9085 right now and get 50% off installations with no interest and no payments for 12 months. Replace that old bathtub today with a walk-in shower for a safer bathing experience. If you have lived in your home for over 15 years, it's time to remodel your bathroom. For a virtual or in-home appointment, call 800-716-9085. That's 800-716-9085. 800-716-9085.
For my small bookstore to thrive, I can't just sell books. So I created a radio ad at iHeartAdBuilder.com to tell everyone about our author events, our story hours for kids, and our amazing lattes. Now we're busier than ever. I'd call that a success story.
A custom radio ad from iHeart Ad Builder is the fast, affordable way to drive customers to your business. Put the power of radio to work for you. Get started now at iHeartAdBuilder.com.
NBC News Radio, I'm Julie Ryan. The COVID Omicron variant surge is on the decline in some parts of the U.S. That's according to CDC Director Rochelle Walensky.
Current 7-day daily average of cases is about 744,600 cases per day, a decrease of about 5% over the previous week.
Dr. Walensky also cited new evidence that COVID vaccine booster shots provide significant protection against hospitalization from the Omicron variant. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is ordering flags to be lowered to half staff at all buildings to honor slain NYPD officer Jason Rivera. Paul DeCastro reports.
The 22-year-old rookie was fatally shot Friday evening after he and two other officers responded to a domestic incident inside a Harlem apartment at 119 West 135th Street. The suspect, LaShawn McNeil, shot Rivera and his 27-year-old partner, Wilbert Mora. He is still fighting for his life at Harlem Hospital. McNeil is in critical condition after he was shot by a third officer inside the apartment.
Brian Laundrie took responsibility for Gabby Petito's death in a notebook found with his body at a Florida nature preserve in October. That's according to the FBI, which is closing the books on its investigation into Petito's death. The Mega Millions jackpot is approaching the $400 million mark. Brad Siegel has more.
No ticket matched all 6 numbers drawn Friday night. The white balls were 38, 45, 46, 55, and 67. The gold mega ball was 18. That means Tuesday's estimated jackpot will be $396 million. The cash option would be $273.6 million. If won at that level, it would be the 15th largest jackpot in the 20-year history of the Mega Millions game. There hasn't been a big winner since October 22nd. One ticket sold in Georgia did hit the 5 white balls Friday night for a payout of $1 million.
You're listening to the latest on NBC News Radio.
From the 4-1 Weather Center, this is CBS 4 weather forecaster Brady Brewster. Below normal temperatures sticking around through the weekend. Our daytime highs going to settle in the low 50s with our overnight lows into the upper 20s and low 30s. Slight chances for some showers both days, and we will see chances for maybe a snowflake mixed in there in those early hours with breezy conditions. Be sure to visit our website, cbs4local.com, for a full look at your forecast.
Make some noise, everybody.
Get ready
Radio Music Awards. How you feeling tonight?
for our 2022 iHeartRadio Music Awards.
Celebrating the biggest artists of the year.
It's about the music.
All sorts of formats, all sorts of styles. Honoring the musicians you love.
Returning to Fox on March 22nd.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. I'm like almost in tears. iHeartRadio Music Awards.
Be here as the nominees are announced.
Ladies and gentlemen, here are the nominees.
Thursday morning at 7.
Happy New Year, El Paso. This is Ivan Ochoa, General Manager from Southern Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. Thank you, El Paso and surrounding areas, for helping us have a record-breaking year. As a gesture of gratitude, we're offering 0 down, 0 APR for 72 months, no payments for 90 days, and exceptional trade-in offers for any trade.
Keep your cash and save thousands with record-breaking price cuts during the Start Something New sales event going on now at Southern Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. 2022 Ram trucks, huge selection, huge savings. Save thousands in interest with 0 APR for 72 months on 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokees, Dodge Charger, and Durango SUVs. Looking to save thousands on your next car, truck, or SUV? The all-new Southern Park Dodge Certified Pre-Owned Supercenter has a great selection with more arriving daily. All military personnel and all first responders receive an additional discount. Thank you for your service. Southern Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. Where buying a car is still fun at I-10 at Southern Park Drive or online at southernparkdodge.com. Estamos en tu esquina El Paso strong. Includes factory rebate and dealer discount plus TTNL. 0 APR is $13.89 per thousand finance. Also select vehicles with approved credit. Offers not combined.
There's only one dental office in El Paso where beautiful, top-quality, long-lasting dental implants are very affordable. 1995implants.com. Other places charge $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, up to $6,000 per tooth. Please don't ever pay that much for dental implants. Instead, come to 1995implants.com. Our price includes the implant, abutment, and crown, plus a free consultation with the dentist, free standard x-rays, and convenient financing plans to fit your budget. With help from 1995implants.com, you'll no longer have cracked or missing teeth, and you'll finally be able to say goodbye to loose, old, wobbly, worn-out, uncomfortable dentures. If you're ready for a brand new smile that family and friends will rave about, then come to 1995implants.com, conveniently located right here in El Paso. For more information, see our website, 1995implants.com. That's 1995implants.com. Se habla español.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
News Radio 690 KTSM presents the second hour of the El Paso History Show with documentary filmmaker Jackson Polk and historian Melissa Sargent. Streaming live at ktsmradio.com. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-585-7777. By Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, home of the one and only margarita. by Keystone Heritage Park on Donovan Drive, by M1 EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549, by Mission Del Rey, 1421 Lee Trevino, with El Paso souvenirs and gift shopping. And now, El Paso History with Melissa Sargent and Jackson Polk.
Jackson here. Melissa's here today only by recording, which we happen to have one here in her history moment. And it was produced by Melissa for the History Alliance. And her story today is about Billy the Kid at the San Elizario, Texas Salt War.
1877, Billy the Kid is witness to the last battle of the Salt Wars. The story of Billy the Kid breaking into the old county jail in San Elizario to spring his gambling compadre, Melquiades Segura, is often told, but few knew of the kid's presence on the border during the final battle of the Salt Wars. In December of 1877, Billy is summoned to a Mexican rancho just across the Rio Grande from San Elizario by his pal Segura. The kid was unaware of the storm that was brewing over the unfettered importation of raw salt harvested near the base of the Guadalupe Mountains. But across the river, tensions are mounting. The salt was no longer free, and when the Paseano's unofficial leader Luis Cardis is gunned down in Franklintown by one Charles Howard, the stage is now set for disaster. Accompanied by a small contingent of Texas Rangers, Howard travels to San Eli, whereupon he and the Rangers are surrounded at Adobe Building and besieged by an angry mob of U.S. citizens and others from Mexico who crossed the river to join in. Among them was Segura and his confederate at whose ranch Billy the Kid was staying. As the kid had no interest in their fight, he took no part in it, but from a rooftop he was able to witness the deadly events as they unfolded. The fight continued for several days. Finally, against the advice of Ranger Gregorio Garcia, the Rangers surrendered. When the dust clears, Charles Howard is among the untold number of men who died in the bloody siege. This was the last and bloodiest of battles of the Salt War. More history next week on El Paso History Moments. I'm Melissa Sargent for the El Paso History Alliance.
We got to tell about a couple of things here real quick, and the moments are produced by Melissa, and Facebook has 62,000 followers for the Alliance, and also Facebook has another, actually, I think, best Facebook page called Remember in El Paso When. You want to get some archive pictures? Take a look there, but if you use them, just give them credit. 33,000 members. They police it quite nicely. Anyway, the chief admin is Barbara Given Bainey. Rick Duncan is another admin. Rick Nahara, Margaret Smith, historian, Paul Louie. And moderators are Ben Vincent and Ken Weiss. So that's I think that's probably one of the better history pages on Facebook about El Paso. And John, you have a thought or two about what Melissa said.
I'm not sure that Billy the Kid was there. I've looked at a lot of sources, haven't found any indication that he was there. Now, Billy the Kid was associated with the Lincoln County War, which happened in 1878, the next year. So it's possible that he could have been there, could have seen part of what was going on and decided he didn't want any part of it. Certainly he stole horses and sold them in New Mexico, so it could have been part of that. And it's interesting to note, and we'll talk about this a little later on, some folks from Lincoln County do show up in San Elizario and in El Paso
and get part of it. Let's take a moment here and ask Andrew to comment on some of the Facebook people looking at us, or any other comments that you may have found.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of people chiming in on this. A lot of interest here. A lot of people saying thanks for the show, like Rick Nahara right now. But particularly chiming in from Brown Acres, Vince Sanchez.
Hey, Vince.
Saying a few interesting things throughout this, including about Father Antonio Barajo, as you were talking about,
yes,
calling him the voice of the people north and south of the river. He had the people believing that he was the direct contact to God. What he said, people did, among other things.
What a priest,
yes,
huh?
Yes, he was a powerful influence.
William Henry Mee saying that his family got their salt from White Lakes, New Mexico, some 39.9 miles away. An oral history of 3 wagons going down there, and one boy being 8 years old driving the last wagon here. And Vince Sanchez commenting again that on the northwest training area of Fort Bliss, there is an abandoned wagon train heading to the New Mexico side of these things for this purpose, and it's still there today. Also had Mark Howe commenting that he was at Fort Quitman visiting some of those family graves on Wednesday.
Oh,
actually, to see what's going on out
How
there.
did Mark?
And then we had Lisa Agan Neighbors saying a slight correction here that it was Jose Mauro Lujan, that Juan was his father, as we talked about previous hour.
Okay, we got our Lujans mixed up, perhaps. Anyway, we're talking about a lot of stuff here on the El Paso History Radio Show, focused basically on the San Elizario Salt War. The other one was a bit of a minor thing, and it had its own stupidities to it. Like all of this stuff, to me, the way they went about living and fighting with each other and being racist against nobody was not a racist.
And then you would just resort to shooting.
Yeah.
Let's fix this. We can fix this. Let's take the shotgun and go get them.
So you had the group of Texas Rangers. You said there were two groups.
There were. Getting into the real nitty gritty of what happened in the Salt War,
yes.
We get into December of 1877. Howard had stood around. He's stirred himself up, obviously, into sort of a frenzy. He hears that there's a salt train heading for the salt deposits, maybe to court conflict and maybe to get salt to really make some money. Things are getting really dicey in San Elizario. There is an armed group down there. So Howard decides he's going to go down there and confront these people again, which was...
They already kicked him out in the summer.
Well, and they were going to kill him. So off he goes to Isleta, which was then the county seat of El Paso, and he gets papers to serve on the Salineros. And on December 12th, he tells Sheriff Kirby he's going to San Eli, and he gets Lieutenant Tays to provide 10 Texas Rangers as an escort. Now, they should have known better, but Howard was arrogant. Howard was racist. He was dismissive of the Mexicans, even though they could have killed him in September. I mean, he told Major Jones, and I quote what he said, "It's like talking to a lot of jacks all braying at once." So this was not a guy that was possessed of good sense. Tays asked for federal troops, and that there would be federal troops that would show up. But Tays and the Rangers and Howard go to San Eli and are immediately backed into a corner into a building next to El Molino, which was a mill that they had there. Lieutenant Rucker's been replaced by Captain Thomas Blair of the 15th Infantry coming from Fort Stanton. He shows up with about 20 soldiers and runs into a roadblock outside of San Eli and is told, "You can't go into town. We have Howard and you need to turn around and go back." Well, so instead of saying, "I'm the United States Army, I'm going in there, you shoot me at your peril. If you shoot me and my troops, then you're going to have hundreds of troops that will show up here." Blair turns around and leaves.
Enough of that for him. Huh?
I don't have enough people, and I don't want to get shot. So December 12th, Howard arrives in town. December 13th, as they are moving around, there is a ranger named Sergeant Mortimer who's walking from El Molino to the ranger building across the street, and he is shot by one of the insurgents. And the shooting starts on December 13th and continues all day against Tays and the Rangers and Howard, who are holed up in this building, which is referred to as Ranger Barracks. It really may have been. One of the locals, Charles Ellis, who owns a store there, who is living with his wife in Casa Ronquillo, which is being restored now, by the way. He decides he's going to go out that night, reason with the crowd. As he does so, a man named Ramon Zambrano shouts, "Ahora es tiempo." Now is the time. Lassos Ellis, drags him away, and cuts his throat. And leaves him to die. There's another account that has Ellis hiding in a wine cellar where he's found and murdered, but he died in a rather awful
somehow
way, either way. So the Rangers and Howard are holed up in a building. 15 Rangers, Howard, Tays, a Pecos County deputy sheriff named Andy Loomis, who just sort of had to be there by accident, and a merchant and former customs inspector named John Atkinson. Shooting lasts all day. The insurgents charge them. They back away. They sustain killed and wounded. Blair and his troops are sitting outside at Isleta. They don't intervene, although 2 of Blair's troops come up missing and eventually turn up in the hands of the insurgents. Don't know how they got there, but that's where they were. Blair's orders were to intervene to help state authorities, but he chose not to. He was outgunned, he was outnumbered, he was intimidated. So Blair now telegraphs Colonel Edward Hatch in Santa Fe, New Mexico, who is the commander of New Mexico, the New Mexico Military District, and commands in the 9th Cavalry Regiment. Hatch telegraphs General Pope, who now orders Hatch, move troops, move what you can with all speed, and get in and see if you can't separate these insurgents. And they've got miles to move. And how are they going to get there? By horseback.
Oh, yeah. This is from way far in Santa Fe. This sounds like a good idea, but
so Hatch gets together and moves immediately. It's not until December 16th that he manages to start moving troops out of Forts Bayard and Fort Stanton. Think about this. Stanton's a long way from here. Stanton's 150 miles or more.
Oh, yeah.
Fort Bayard is at least 175 to 200 miles away. But the 9th Cavalry was very well trained. At this time, very well equipped. They had fairly new weapons. They had fresh horses. They had not been involved in any real scrapes with the Indians, so they were able to pull enough troops and to move.
Is this a Buffalo Soldier crowd?
Yes, these are African-American soldiers. He also moves 2 pieces of the 15th Infantry foot marching from Fort Stanton here.
It's going to take a while.
So it will take a while. And General Pope also orders Company H, 10th Cavalry, also Buffalo soldiers, to move from Fort Davis, which they do, with 200 rounds per man, 31 days of rations, and 8 days of fodder for the horses. In the meantime, Tay's Rangers have plenty of food, plenty of water, but are running out of ammunition. And there was no expectation of relief on the night of December 16th. So the next day, Tays meets with Chico Varela and his supporters. Varela says, "We've tunneled under your headquarters and we're going to blow it up if you don't surrender with you in it." Well, maybe and maybe not.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Taking a break here.
We'll take a break.
Just a quick note here. One of the places in San Elizario that this was taking place in, some of this stuff, is now Cafe Arte at the corner of Main and Glorieta. And it was a major location of some of these happenings there in San Elizario. So some of the buildings are still standing, kind of. They've been renovated. And that was now a nice little restaurant of some kind. All right. Andrew, any thoughts from you in there?
Yeah, a couple more comments, particularly on Sheriff Charles Kerber. Samuel Kilborn Dolan commenting that Kerber really helped unleash a lot of roughnecks and troublemakers in El Paso County after the Salt War. And Vince Sanchez, with his very local knowledge down there, commenting, Sheriff Charles Kerber was very racist, according to quote-unquote local legend.
We will get to what Kerber did with the Rangers after this.
Taking a break here on the El Paso History Show. Back in just a moment.
Many retired El Paso area homeowners don't know where to begin when it comes to downsizing and selling their home. Patrick Tuttle and his Legacy Home team follow a proven process to help retired homeowners sell faster and for more money. Call Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850 today and get your home sold faster and for more money. That's Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850. Call him today.
M1 EP Management Corporation is proud to sponsor the El Paso History Show. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, invest in real estate. M1 EP manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. See the website, m1ep.com, M1ep.com. To learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation of investing in real estate, call Certified Property Manager Mike Baca, 915-592-4549, 915-592-4549.
Win $1,000.
No way.
Way.
No way. No way.
Oh, baby. Yes way.
No way.
It's a grand in your hand. Listen every hour from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. weekdays for your chance to win.
A grand in your hand is brought to you by Approved Autos. Drive out in your new ride in less than an hour. Choose from every make and model from their super clean, hand-picked inventory and get payments as low as $159 a month. Worried about your credit? Don't sweat it. If you got your license and you got a job, they smell a deal. The deals are sweeter at Approved Autos, 8498 Alameda.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon. Cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code FUEL for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next fill-up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code FUEL for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FUEL.
iHeartRadio Earth knows small changes can make a big difference. Want to reduce your food waste? Embrace your freezer. From bread to meat and even cheese, most foods can be frozen and cooked later. Plus, a full freezer uses less electricity. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth.
This new year, you may be excited about a new device or focused on your New Year's resolutions. Make sure your new devices and your resolutions include protection. Norton 360 with LifeLock gives you device security, a VPN for online privacy, and LifeLock identity theft protection to help keep you safe. No one can prevent all cybercrime or identity theft, but you can cheers to a cyber-safe new year with Norton 360 with LifeLock. Save 25% or more off your first year at norton.com/join.
Wesley had IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Coming after my house, my car. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
Wesley called Optima Tax Relief.
Oh, they were great people. Optima Tax. They know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
For details, visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
And now let's turn back the pages of time and return to the El Paso History Show. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-585-7777. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, 6761 Donovan Drive. By M1EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey, 1421 Lee Trevino with El Paso souvenirs and gift shopping. By Keystone Heritage Park on Donovan Drive, 915-584-0563. Here again, El Paso History with Melissa Sargent and Jackson Polk.
Jackson here. Melissa's off today. I want to let you know next week on January 29th, we're going to have Anna Fahey, and she'll be our guest with the history of the Chinese people in El Paso and in the entire area. That's going to be interesting. This is rescheduled from last fall, and she's an expert in that, so that should be a most interesting radio show. Okay, John Hamilton, take us where we're going to go. This is a complicated story.
Howard now
Salt War.
is holed up with the Rangers, and they're out of ammo, and they've been warned that they're going to blow up the building with them in it. So Howard sees this as the end and volunteers to turn himself into the mob. He must have had a death wish. So he gives his personal effects to his agent, John McBride. And the local merchant that's there, John Atkinson, offers also to turn over a trunk of $11,000 in cash in exchange for his life, Howard's, McBride's, and the Rangers. Lieutenant Hayes agreed. The Rangers surrender. The only time in its history that the Texas Rangers have surrendered to anyone.
And we must also make the point again that this is not a quality group of Rangers.
No, it's
a bunch of criminals.
sort of ne'er-do-wells, whatever they could pick up.
They were
around
deputized,
here,
and
but they were Rangers.
Yep.
So the insurgents herd these guys into a dirty room, disarm them, but they take Howard, Atkinson, and McBride away. They tie them up, and they are all shot. Howard was mutilated after he bared his chest to these insurgents and yelled himself, "Fire," which of course they do. Atkinson is next. He is wounded. He's told him, he's yelled at him, "Shoot me in the chest," and they shoot him in the stomach. And he says, "Más arriba," do it higher, and then calls them a dirty name.
What a weird thing.
And they shoot him again, and he's still alive. So one of the insurgents walks up, shoots him in the head, and finishes him with a pistol shot. And then McBride goes the same way, but he goes more quietly. He realizes the end is him. They mutilate these guys, and they throw their remains into a well. And then the crowd starts shouting, "Who's next? Let's kill the gringos."
Oh, my.
And Chico Varela and others start to put a stop to some of this. But the crowd then starts looting all the stores and homes of the local whites, including Ellis's store and home at Casa Ronquillo. So December 18th, these insurgents parade, they make speeches. Hayes and his Rangers are allowed to leave with their horses, but not their weapons. The Rangers probably killed between 5 and 15 Paseños, and the Rangers lost Sergeant Mortimer and Sergeant McBride. And again, they have their lasting reputation now of the only Ranger unit that ever surrendered to a mob. Then on December 21st, the 9th Cavalry arrives. Company L arrives first, led by Colonel Hatch himself. About 40 troopers, well turned out. And very quickly, more troops arrive. Hatch's orders are quite clear. You are under no circumstances to cross into Mexico unless you receive orders from General Pope. And Hatch arrives not on horseback, but in a carriage.
Oh.
Well, it gives him a chance to do his paperwork, and it's a little more comfortable to ride than riding a horse. So on December 22nd, he actually marches into San Eli with 54 troopers and a 12-pounder howitzer. He found no insurgents. They were gone. They'd all crossed into Mexico. And then later in the day, the Fort Bayard troops, the infantry and the cavalry, 63 in all, arrive. It's amazing. They had force marched, 150 miles and had gotten there. And then very quickly, Company 8th, 10th Cavalry arrives from Fort Davis, having force marched 210 miles.
A whole bunch of army doing nothing.
So they all show up in mass. And Sheriff Kerber, realizing he no longer really has a Ranger force, requests permission to recruit another Ranger force and is allowed by Major Jones to go to Silver City, New Mexico, and recruit up to 100 Rangers. And who does he recruit? Whoever's there. They were drifters, opportunists, cattle rustlers, horse thieves, outright outlaws looking for easy money and loot.
Did he bring a bag of badges with him to hand these out, or how?
I don't think he had any badges to these guys. I think they just
stinking
brought him
badges.
They brought him into El Paso, and of course, the first thing they did was sample the wares of the local saloons before they went down to San Eli. Their leader was a guy named John Kinney, who had a record in Lincoln County, New Mexico, and ultimately would become one of the biggest cattle rustlers and thieves on the border. Other names included a guy named Charles Ray, alias Pony Deal, and a guy named Curly Bill Brocious, both of whom would come to their ends at the hands of the Earp brothers in Tombstone some years later.
What a mess.
So these guys essentially become the law in El Paso and up and down the border, and it sort of brings up the old Latin phrase, quis custodiet ipsos custodes, who's watching the watchman, who guards the guardian.
We had a question come in about somebody in particular. Did you get to that?
Oh, you just got it. That was about John Kinney's role in the Salt War. Keith Harrison asking that.
Okay.
And Vince Sanchez saying, definitely involved. I hope his role is mentioned. So your hope has been granted now. And also another question you just answered from Calvin Williams. So these Rangers, were they previously lawmen or just a bunch of guys that thought they were tough? And, well, we heard the answer
They
there.
were criminals. It was amazing. And they were the law in El Paso for a while. They did home invasions. They terrorized the locals. They stole stock. They assaulted people. The upshot was eventually Sheriff Kerber had to request help from Austin and San Antonio, and more Rangers came out here. Some of these were led by John Rip Ford, who brooked no business and either killed him or ran him out of town.
Oh my, what a mess.
So
I'm serious.
They all go back up to Silver City and back to Lincoln County. And in 1878, you see all these names show up in the Lincoln County War.
Oh my, and that's where Billy the Kid made a big deal of.
Yes, the Tunstall McSween group against the Murphy Dolan gang.
It sounds to me,
And the
John,
Army gets involved in that too.
John, you're talking about a swirling mess of people doing bad things.
Yes.
And San Eli got the bad reputation as having the salt war. But did it ever clear up that people were allowed to go get the salt?
Yes.
Let's take a break and talk about
Let's
that.
take a break and we'll talk about
what
that.
happened at that point here.
Yes.
Also, by the way, I think I'm going to end up at Pepe's today. If anybody's interested, I'll meet you out there. And that's a 6761 Donovan. Go out there and have some fine new Mexican food. A product of the Lincoln County War. No. That's a whole different topic. Their food is good up there. Anyway,
Yes, it is.
I'll see you guys there. And in the meantime, Andrew, any other thoughts real quick?
Just one additional one from Vince Sanchez, again, with more local legend on what was said, that Father Barajo said, told the people in those riots you were mentioning, kill the gringos and your sins will be absolved.
Oh, no.
So a lot of interesting characters and interesting effects they were having on this whole situation.
No wonder it turned into a cesspool down there. And I think they've gotten a lot better since then because it's a nice little town now.
Oh, it's very nice now.
It's very nice. Yeah, fabulous little place with restaurants and art galleries and all kinds of stuff. So, all right, taking a break on the El Paso History Radio Show. We'll take a call or two if you have an idea or a question. 915-544-5876, 915-544 KTSM. Back in a moment.
El Paso History TV is now available for free on YouTube.com. Take a look at recent ABC 7 news reports by Bernie Sargent on El Paso History TV about Waco tanks, the Franklin Mountains, Concordia Cemetery, and more. The YouTube channel also has more than 100 videos about El Paso history with lectures, documentaries, and various history clips. Go to youtube.com/El Paso History TV and find out how Texas history begins in El Paso. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina serves the old Griggs Mexican food recipes in a new location at 6761 Donovan Drive. Enjoy great New Mexican food with cold beer and the one and only margarita from the cantina. The managers and cooks from the original Griggs restaurant serve tacos, combination plates, and sopapillas. Get the best Mexican food in the valley at Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina, 6761 Donovan, near Loop 375. Call 877-2152.
Happy New Year, El Paso. This is Ivan Ochoa, General Manager from Southern Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. Thank you, El Paso and surrounding areas, for helping us have a record-breaking year. As a gesture of gratitude, we're offering 0 down, 0 APR for 72 months, no payments for 90 days, and exceptional trade-in offers for any trade.
Keep your cash and save thousands with record-breaking price cuts during the Start Something New sales event going on now at Southern Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. 2022 Ram trucks, huge selection, huge savings. Save thousands in interest with 0 APR for 72 months on 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokees, Dodge Charger, and Durango SUVs. Looking to save thousands on your next car, truck, or SUV? The all-new Southern Park Dodge Certified Pre-Owned Super Center has a great selection with more arriving daily. All military personnel and all first responders receive an additional discount. Thank you for your service. Southern Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. We're buying a car. It's still fun. At I-10 at Southern Park Drive or online at southernparkdodge.com. Estamos en tu esquina, El Paso. El Paso Strong. Includes factory rebate and dealer discount plus TTNL. 0 APR is $13.89 per thousand finance. All select vehicles with approved credit. Offers not combined.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Is your job going nowhere? It's a new year. Time for a new career in IT. My Computer Career has slashed tuition. So what are you waiting for? Campuses are open. Attend in person or live online. Hands-on learning and lifetime career services help you succeed. And you could start your career in months, not years, even with no experience. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
And now let's turn back the pages of time and return to the El Paso History Show. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-585-7777. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, 6761 Donovan Drive. By M1EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey, 1421 Lee Trevino with El Paso souvenirs and gift shopping. By Keystone Heritage Park on Donovan Drive, 915-584-0563. Here again, El Paso History with Melissa Sargent and Jackson Polk.
I'm going to let you know right now what's going on this week only in El Paso Inc. As 2022 begins, El Paso Inc. asks community leaders about their top achievements in 2021 and goals for this year. Stockholders are thrilled by the long-awaited sale of an El Paso community bank, and why the agency that supports El Paso's public school districts has built a 6-story parking garage and event center. El Paso's business journal, El Paso Inc., is available for home or business delivery and online at elpasoinc.com. Those are stories in the paper that's dated tomorrow. Sometimes you get it on your sidewalk tonight. Just a quick thought. Somebody took exception to my commenting and using the term cesspool. It's hard to describe what went on down there. Maybe that's not the right term, but it was a mess. How about I just leave it at that? Would that be fair enough, John?
I think so.
Because maybe it's too much of a characterization, but people were upset.
And it was these interlopers that came in. Cardis, Howard, Fountain.
Things were going pretty well until they showed up, weren't they?
And it was all about greed. This was the beginning of the Gilded Age. Everybody was out to make a buck.
And so the greed took over. Maybe that's what we should focus on, not so much. But it got to be a mess. I'll leave it at that. Also, we do have a caller on the phone here coming from, are you from Brooklyn, New York? Is that where you're from, Jorge?
It is, Jackson, as a matter of fact.
Oh.
I wanted to ask you, Trinidad, my great-grandmother's grandfather, Luis Rey, was Commandante of San Elizario. And I wanted to ask you about Charles Rey. Is the spelling A-R-Y or A-E-Y?
Charles Rey was spelled R-A-Y. And his alias was Pony Deal, D-E-A-L or D-I-E-H-L. Pretty notorious reprobate, outlaw. He shows up here. He shows up in the Lincoln County War. He shows up in Tombstone some years later.
And you say he shows up from Silver City?
Yes, they recruited him supposedly in Silver City because a lot of these guys had been run out of Lincoln County for their misdeeds and were in Silver City. And that's where Sheriff Kerber recruited these fellas.
Well, it's very interesting for me because my mother's older sister, Carmen Gonzalez, she lives up there in Silver City. So for me, in school, they teach us that we should look for connections and in what you have just told to me, I have found in the name Ray and the Intelligence connections that I can appreciate.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for what you have. Really,
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Very
calling.
interesting.
You take
Thank
care.
you.
Appreciate it. 544 KTSM 915-544-5876. You got a decent comment about what's going on here, or a question? Basically, John, to characterize this as a mess, I think is fair. To characterize it as a greed event with these Anglos coming in and deciding they're going to take the traditional salt, and then the Mexicans getting way up in arms and literally, it made sense that they were upset because these guys were screwing with the traditions that had been going on forever.
C.L. Sonicson, in his book, it's a slim volume. It's worth reading. It's somewhat novelized, but he talks about this as an uprising. There's another author named Paul Kuhl who wrote Salt Warriors, which is a really definitive work and well worth reading. It's a lively account. Talks about this as an absolute insurgency against the government, which in a way it was. The government, Cardis, Fountain, Howard himself were all elected officials, legally or not. Elections in those times were rather sordid affairs.
They were shady characters themselves.
They were shady characters themselves, but they were the law. They were the government. They were trying to use the government and the law for their own benefit. And the locals just said, well, we'll have none of this. It is questionable as to how many people came across the border to participate in this.
Several hundred.
Some say that there were none. And some say that no, most of the insurgents supposedly were actually people from across the border looking to benefit from this themselves through loot, through personal gain. And it's telling that a lot of them went back across the border when the troops showed up.
Yeah, they were gone
and never came back.
And the troops had orders not to follow them.
Yes,
interesting.
Not to pursue.
Let me give you something out of Sonicsen's book. He said, with the coming of the railroad, salt became easier to obtain, but bitterness between Mexicans and Anglos remained. C.L. Sonicsen reflects the uselessness of this vicious chapter of local history. Uselessness, interesting. Let's use that term of this vicious chapter of local history when he says, the Salt War, like all wars, was wasteful and unnecessary unless to prove to a pessimist that men can die bravely in a bad cause.
Interesting.
That sums it up for me.
Yes.
And we're stirring up people on the phones here a little bit as well. And also with the coming of the railroads, that was when supposedly the bad people showed up. Can you imagine? I mean, the gamblers and the prostitutes.
Well, they were already here with the expectation that those railroads were going to show up.
Oh, my God.
So, but it's interesting. We can talk about that.
We got to take a caller here.
We'll take a call.
I got a guy named George. Another call coming in after George. George, we got you on the radio. What's up?
Right. This is that highly paid volunteer at the old El Paso County Jail in San Elizario.
How you doing, George?
Oh, very good.
I have a couple of quick comments on Billy the Kid.
Okay.
One of the first things that I discuss when I get guests there at the jail is that I refer to it as our Billy the Kid legend. Okay. Well, one of the things that bothers me about
your phone's breaking up a little bit. Talk more clearly into it, would you?
Okay. Let me.
That's better. Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, okay. One of the things that bothers me about Billy the Kid showing up to break his friend out of jail in San Elizario is that how did he get the jailer to open the jail?
Oh, I think he said he had a prisoner, right?
Right, but the thing is, almost everybody, he came from the old Mesilla near Las Cruces area into San Elizario, and a lot of people knew him. Even the jailer would have known who he was. So that's one of the things that bothers me about our Billy the Kid legend.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay.
And what else?
Now, the other Billy the Kid story that I have is Billy the Kid belonging to the regulators, one of the groups that were in the Lincoln County Wars. Okay. Okay, I hear people talking in the background. Is that somebody or what?
I'm not sure. Maybe been Andrew too loud in the control room. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Anyway, what it was, this Sheriff William Brady and two deputies from one group, they were going to arrest some of the people in the Billy the Kid group. And Sheriff William Brady got killed. And eventually, Billy the Kid was tried in Old Messiah for having killed Sheriff William Brady, and he was sent back to Lincoln to be hung.
Right.
And he broke that jail in Lincoln.
Yes.
Okay. But anyway, I also talk about Sheriff Pat eventually caught up with Billy the Fort Sumner, New Mexico, and killed him.
Oh, he did.
Those were the only two comments that I had on Billy the Kid. I find the Salt War very interesting.
It's a trip, isn't it?
Didn't know.
All right. Well, thank you for listening, George. Appreciate it. You take care.
All righty. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot for calling. Also, we had a comment from a guy named Johnny. We said we ruined his morning. He hasn't been able to leave the radio. He's listening intently. So, there's a lot to this, John Hamilton, as we go through this, and it is stirring up a lot of people. We may be at a point here where we should begin to summarize what went on here.
Well, let's talk about the aftermath very quickly. The Salt War ends with the intervention of federal troops. The 9th Cavalry acquitted themselves very well, and no Buffalo soldier of the 9th committed any misdeeds. Not so with H Company 10th Cavalry. There were a couple of incidents of home invasions there, punished by company punishment, which meant the company commander had the soldiers carry heavy logs around for several days wherever they went. The Rangers came back and recovered the remains of Howard, Atkinson, and McBride from this old well. Howard was buried next to his wife in El Paso, but both of their remains were moved to Austin at some point. Atkinson, McBride, and Ranger Mortimer were buried in a common grave, and Charlie Ellis' body was never found. In early January, Colonel Hatch went back to Santa Fe and advised General Pope that we really needed to have a permanent military garrison in El Paso after all. 7 companies, 10 officers, and 130 men total remained at La Isla until a permanent location could be found to house the garrison, and that was in downtown El Paso. Troops were housed in empty buildings around what's now San Jacinto Plaza and drilled in the plaza. And ultimately, the next year, the Army purchased 130 acres of land west of downtown El Paso and built Fort Bliss at Hart's Mill. 2 companies of the 15th Infantry and a company of the 9th Cavalry were there until 1882. Hatch would soon be involved in another civil disturbance, and that was the Lincoln County War, where his subordinate up there, Lieutenant Colonel August Nathan Monroe Dudley, would join in the disturbance on the side of one of the factions in contravention of his orders from Colonel Hatch. This brought about something called the Posse Comitatus Act. Ever hear of it?
I heard of it. What is it?
1878. This forbids federal troops from serving in any domestic law enforcement capacity unless the president himself declares martial law. And then in 1879, the next year, the Mimbres Apache Victorio and his band went to war with the soldiers and people in New Mexico. And that put the 9th Cavalry in the field to try to hunt him down. The 9th Cavalry wore out horses and troops trying to run him to ground in 1879. And in 1880, the 10th Cavalry kept Victorio out of Texas, and Mexican regulars killed Victorio at Tres Castillos in northern Mexico.
So there's a lot that went on here.
There was a careful, detailed investigation into the Salt War done by the Army, and this record still exists. And it is convoluted. It is massive.
This thing was all over the place.
But it basically says that a permanent garrison in El Paso has to be maintained, and the current Fort Bliss traces its heritage or its lineage back to this.
Starting at San Jacinto Plaza, moving out to Hart's Mill.
Right.
And eventually ended up, I guess they went, they'd already been to Concordia, had they not?
Yes.
And then
yes.
McGoffinsville.
Then they went to Hart's Mill. And after being in Hart's Mill, where the railroads
cut the parade
track
grounds in half.
Right through the parade ground. You had the Southern Pacific that went right through the parade ground.
Oh, my goodness.
And the Santa Fe that was up just north of the parade ground. Of course, today, there are 2 officers' quarters that remain, and that's it.
There you are.
That's all.
All right, John Hamilton, we got one more segment coming here. We're going to take a break and come back in a minute. Andy, anything on social media we need to know about?
A lot of good comments on there. One, a little tongue-in-cheek. That seems like the Salt War left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths.
Rim shot. Rim shot.
Jorge Ibarra saying, thank you to everyone for the information, learning something today. Vince Sanchez saying that Ellis's bones are buried somewhere behind the Madrid house/store and in an unmarked grave in San Elizario. His friends did that so his body would not be mutilated.
Oh, goodness.
Interesting.
A lot of details there. All right, taking a break on the History Show. Back in just a moment.
Many retired El Paso area homeowners don't know where to begin when it comes to downsizing and selling their home. Patrick Tuttle and his Legacy Home team follow a proven process to help retired homeowners sell faster and for more money. Call Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850 today and get your home sold faster and for more money. That's Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850. Call him today.
M1 EP Management Corporation is proud to sponsor the El Paso History Show. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, invest in real estate. M1 EP manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. See the website, m1ep.com. M1ep.com. To learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation of investing in real estate, call Certified Property Manager Mike Baca, 915-592-4549. 915-592-4549.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
The MLK Tapes is your next true crime podcast obsession. On April 4th, 1968, a lone gunman assassinated Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in Memphis, Tennessee. At least, that's the official story. The MLK Tapes podcast explores recordings of eyewitness testimonies to reveal the real story of the plot to kill Dr. King.
James Earl Ray was a pawn for the official story.
Listen to the MLK Tapes wherever you get your podcasts.
We've lost so many people to COVID. So many moms and dads, favorite uncles, older sisters, and best friends. But vaccines can help prevent severe illness and death from COVID. So now, almost all COVID deaths are preventable. And so are the broken hearts they leave behind. We can do this. Find vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Are you putting your retirement savings in a 401k or IRA? Then I have one word of advice. Stop. Experts agree the 401k has been a dismal failure, and even the man who invented it now says it's a monster that should be destroyed. 401ks and IRAs have major dangers, including fees that gobble up 50% of your retirement savings over time. The government controls your money and changes the rules anytime they want, and it gets worse. History confirms we're past due for a major market crash that could wipe out 50% of your savings again. Now, a free report from Bank on Yourself reveals where the inventor of the 401k puts his money. You're 100% protected from crashes. There are no fee surprises. And you control your money, not the government. Plus, your withdrawals are tax-free, which protects your savings from being devoured by taxes that can only get more monstrous. So get your report now at freereportfast.com. That's freereportfast.com. freereportfast.com.
Think you can handle another iHeartRadio True Crime Week? With thousands of true crime podcasts to choose from, finding your next case to binge can be a little intimidating. Lucky for you, our investigators are on the scene with an entire lineup of podcasts to get you started. From stone cold killers to cold cases waiting to be cracked, including the new iHeart podcast, The MLK Tapes.
He never confessed.
Open the free iHeart app and search True Crime to start your next podcast obsession. iHeartRadio. Discover music, radio, and podcasts you'll love.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
And now let's turn back the pages of time and return to the El Paso History Show. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-585-7777. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, 6761 Donovan Drive. By M1 EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey, 1421 Lee Trevino with El Paso souvenirs and gift shopping. By Keystone Heritage Park on Donovan Drive, 915-584-0563. Here again, El Paso History with Melissa Sargent and Jackson Polk.
We've been talking about the San Elizario Salt War. There's a couple of groups in San Elizario that are actually promoting the history there. One is at the Portales Museum. If you go down there on the square there, ask where the Portales Museum is. And they do a good job of looking what they're doing there in San Elizario. Another one is the Cultural Heritage Society, the Comunidad de Adentro. That's run by Al Borrego. You can go to www.culturalheritagesociety.com. And so there's some people down there taking a look at the history there. And it's a lot calmer now down there, John Hamilton, than it used to be. It's a nice place.
Yes.
San Elizario is a wonderful little town. And I'm trying to compare it to people taking guests from out of town.
It is a great
and going
place.
to Mesilla. They should now consider going to San Eli.
It's a great place for history tourism. I mean, that's really the draw there. It's nice. It's quiet. You know what happened after this? Did they start paying for the salt? Well, some did, some did not.
Who'd they pay?
They paid some other people that had gained control of the land. I mean, it is privately owned today.
Yeah, we have a couple of pictures of it out there.
So if you want to go out and visit, it's okay to stop by the roadside and take a few pictures, but going out there might get you some scrutiny from the local law enforcement.
Just don't cross the fence, apparently.
So
yeah, that's the major thing. Got a picture up now of the flooding from over the summer, and there was a lot of people going out there and enjoying it, and then enjoying it a bit too much. So just mind yourself, don't litter, don't be that kind of a person.
Oh, yeah.
And don't block the road either. Important thing.
Indeed. Well, John Hamilton, thank you very much for coming in and talking about this.
Pleasure.
It's a lot of details, and I think you took them on pretty good, because who did what to whom and when was a major issue there. We're about out of here, Andrew. I don't hear the music coming up. Oh, you've got 30 seconds. Okay, so real quick, I want to thank you very much for coming in today and taking on a rather complex subject, because I mean, this is
fun.
There's a lot of details here.
A lot of details.
John Hamilton, military historian. You got an Arcadia book for sale.
I do.
And it's about a picture history of Fort Bliss.
Yes.
And so if you want to get involved in that,
it's on the website for Arcadia Publishing. You can find it there. That's
Excellent.
probably the easiest way to get it. I think Amazon's got it too.
Many thanks, John Hamilton, for coming and doing that. Also, many thanks to Andrew J. Polk in there. He does Monday through Friday Talk El Paso.
Thank you, Andrew.
4 to 6 p.m. And he rings a bell, and another radio person gets their wings.
Right.
Sure. I saw that movie over Christmas. Anyway, thanks again, Andrew, for what you do in there as well. And we expect Melissa back next week. We're going to talk about the Chinese history in El Paso area. And there's a lot.
Good show.
It's not what you think, I believe. It's not what I thought. See, what I do on the radio show here, I don't really know all this history. I pull in people who do. That's why I appreciate you coming in today. And next week, the
Thank
same.
you, sir.
See you next week on the El Paso History Radio Show. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for listening to the El Paso History Show. We hope you'll join us again next Saturday morning, 10 to noon, and be sure to tell a friend about us. Sponsored by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-585-7777. By Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, home of the one and only margarita. By Keystone Heritage Park on Donovan Drive, 915-584-0563.